Thanks so much, you guys, for joining me for this talk about coaching, because a lot of people wonder, like, what is it? One of the things that I love to do is I love to help people. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Julie. I like to help people go from where they are to where they really desire to be. I love to empower people, and that's what coaching truly is to me. To me, it's a designed alliance that you can have with a client, and you can help move them to the next direction. Sorry, I've got all these people that are coming on and giving me symbols and saying hi and talking. It kind of distracts me a little bit, so I'm sorry. I've got a little bit of ADD tonight when I see all of that. But what it does is there's a special alliance that's created between a client or a participant and a coach. And what I like to do with my clients, and I think most coaches feel the same way, is we want to give them our very best. We want to be able to help them to truly understand what could be holding them back. And we do this by asking amazing questions that are open-ended, and it's truly a process. It's a journey. I got my very first coach. I didn't even realize it, but it was like almost 20 years ago. So between 15 and 20 years ago, I got my very first coach. The one thing that my coach asked me was, what are you preventing the world from experiencing by not actually living into your highest potential? And so for me, hi everybody, that was really a very awkward question. She also asked me, what did I really, really want? And I had never been asked that before. She asked me what I wanted because she wanted to be able to help me move and kind of get unstuck. I had gone to the very top of my company and I was feeling a little bit bored. I knew there was something more. You know, you get that feeling inside of your gut that there's so much more greatness inside of you that you're not living into. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that way. If you have, give me some thumbs up, because I just want to be able to see those. But I know inside of me, I just felt like I wasn't living up to my maximum capacity. And so she asked me what I wanted. But because I had never been asked that before in my life, it took me 6 sessions to be able to truly identify some of the things that I wanted. And you know, I'd always been like somebody's daughter. I had been somebody's granddaughter, daughter, sister. Then I went to be somebody's girlfriend and wife, and then I became a mother, and then I became a business owner and a team leader. And hi guys, so glad that you guys are here. Hi Rachel, hi Uncle Harold and Mandy and Erica. See lots of you there. Thank you so much for joining me. But I had never truly been asked, what did I truly want? And I think that what happened is when I went to that space, I couldn't reach into my subconscious mind. You know, the subconscious mind is the one that truly controls everything. It helps us to breathe when we don't even have to think about breathing, right? But it also gives us the ability to be protected, right? And it keeps us from going into those dangerous places in our life. And what happens is when we ask a deep question like that, we have to go into that other space in our mind to be able to pull out our best answers. And I wasn't used to that. And number one, I think I just was always used to kind of going with the flow, doing what I was told to do, and just doing the best with what I had, and try to always just kind of survive and try to get through things. And so for me, this was an entirely new experience to be asked, what did I want? So it gave me the opportunity to choose, but I got frozen in my tracks. And then once I identified some of the things that I really wanted, then I had to figure out, how am I going to ask for them? Am I going to start moving in that direction? And I felt like I really needed someone else there to kind of help guide me and support me as I started discovering more about myself, and then more about the potential that was inside of me that could be unlocked. So what is coaching? Plain and simple, it's when you create an alliance with someone that helps you move from where you are now to where you truly desire to be. And it supports you by providing guidance, and sometimes goal settings involved, and identifying your plans of action and accountability. And for most of us that I notice nowadays with my generation and probably younger, and maybe all generations, we don't really want somebody telling us what to do. And that's what I love about coaching, because your coach doesn't really tell you what to do. They ask you curious questions, you come up together with an action step, and then they do some celebration and accountability. And that's one of the things that I do when I start off with my clients each and every time. We celebrate what's the best thing that's happened with them in their life or their business since our last conversation or our last session. And hey Jen, glad to see you. Hi Tina. And that celebration is a great way to start, because what it does is we all come to our sessions and we've got all this stuff that isn't working, right? We want to get it fixed. And instead of just doing, the fixing and talking about what's not working, it's fun to start each session off celebrating. And then I try to celebrate my clients throughout the week as well. When they have different steps moving towards their accomplishments, I want to be recognized. And I want them to know how important it is that I'm watching and they're watching, and we can celebrate this together. Hey, Jen, love you too. So what happens with most of my clients is they bring me on to help them to create a clearer vision. I mean, isn't it important, especially now? We are coming to the end of February. How many of you have already given up on your goals for the year, or those New Year's resolutions? I mean, after 10 days and it's not really working, it doesn't mean that you just give up on it for the whole year, right? I love it because we can start new every single day. And so I'm going to encourage you to not only look at the things that might not be working in your life, but look at what else you want for this upcoming year. It's not too late to jump in and do more. Something else that happens inside of the coaching space is that it allows you to remove obstacles. That's really important, because sometimes we're just kind of stuck and we can't even see the forest for the trees, right? And a lot of my clients, they bring me on to help them strategize and prioritize. So how many times have you had this project? And I'll be honest with you, I've got a couple sticky notes here that are projects that I'm still working on for tonight. But I did want to stop and just kind of take a few minutes and talk to you guys a little bit about coaching, because I haven't done a Facebook Live in a while. But I need help, like weeding through all of the information. A great tool to help you do that is mind mapping. I don't know how many of you guys have learned how to mind map. A great friend of mine, Heather Marquez, taught me how to do that. And it's where you take a main, central idea, and then each idea that you have off of that, or a way, like if we were going to have a goal that we were working on, I'd put the name of the goal or what the goal was in the center, and then I would make an offshoot branch. And maybe that would be the first step. And then maybe we'd have another branch that would be like the timeline. And then we'd have another one about executing. Sorry about that. Not sure who's calling in right now, but I apologize about that. I didn't think to turn the phone off. But then you can take and you can mind map out all of the different things and the different strategies and the different ways to prioritize and the different ways to be able to move through the process of getting your goal accomplished. And so that's another great tool. And we do some of that with some of my clients as well, where we take and we mind map out and we strategize and we prioritize what activities need to be done first. I am so sorry. That's what you get for doing Facebook Live, right? It's live, it's real, it's raw. Sorry about that. But it helps us to be able to move our businesses and our lives forward. A lot of people, if you're starting a new venture, a lot of times will bring a coach on because you want somebody that's kind of gone the path before you. Now, you don't have to know the business or the industry in order to be able to be a great coach. So just wanted to let you know that, a lot of people hire me as a direct sales coach or a business coach or a startup coach because I've done all of these businesses before. I cannot believe this. And so I apologize for that. I don't even know how to turn the phone off. So I'm just trying to get through the process here so that we can stay on track. But I guess that, that just proves anybody can be a coach. I normally do sit here right in this very chair and go calling. I take most of my appointments by phone, and we just coach and help each other, one call after another. So a lot of people hire me for action and accountability steps, honest feedback, a new perspective. A lot of people like the fact that I have a way of really investing in people, not just for the short term, but for the long term. And I really like to be able to support you for your entire journey. And I think that also helps, make a really great coach when I think about, coaching. Now, coaching is different than training. I do a lot of training, and I do that inside of direct sales. I do it with the John Maxwell team and things like that. But that's not what this is truly about. Training is really about teaching, where coaching is about supporting other people to learn. And it's not necessarily about providing the answers. That's what's involved with training. I just could cry. So sorry, I'm trying so hard to get through this. Somebody really must want to talk to me. But it's about providing the answers, and it's about It's not about providing the answers. I'm sorry. That's training. Coaching is about helping other people find their own answers. It's not about like a teacher-student relationship, but it's truly about a partnership and an interaction. It's not about focusing on the trainer's agenda, but it's about really focusing on the other person's agenda. And that's what I love to do, is I love to help you just focus on your agenda and what your plans are. What you truly want for your life or your business. So I take myself completely out of it, but I sometimes hold up a mirror so that you can see like things that you might not have been able to see before. I want you to realize that it's not about me being the expert, it's about me helping you be the expert in your own life. Let's talk a little bit more about coaching. You know, coaching truly, I believe, is one of the key things that changed my life. Just changed it completely and just made a huge difference. It empowered me really to start making my own decisions and to truly start, hey, Anna, so glad to see you, to truly empower myself to live into the greatness that's inside of me, to expand my horizons as far as really living into the person I know God created me to be. I'd always been somebody's mom, somebody's wife, somebody's daughter, you know, somebody's team leader, somebody's employee, and I never really took the time and really invested in myself to find out what did I really want, and how could I live a more fulfilling, more fuller expression of the life that God created me to live. And when I started working with a coach, it really made a huge difference for me. And you know, I shared in the first video a few minutes ago about how many times I had to really ask myself and really try to think into the different side of my brain, into that subconscious or other than conscious side of my mind, and really start thinking into kind of uncorking it and thinking into what did I really want. It was an uncomfortable space because I was always used to just going along with the flow. Hi, Karen, glad that you're with me. And instead of just going through the motions or going with the flow, I was asked to start empowering my own life. And it was done through questions. And that's what I love about coaching. It's not about somebody telling you what to do, because you guys know me. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. It was about me exploring different options and then knowing that I was in a really safe space. Hi, Rebecca Joy. So glad that you joined me. But it was a space that I had never had anybody really just say, you know, I want to put you right in my hands, maybe the hands of God. I want you to just sit right there, and there's not going to be any judgment. I want us to explore the opportunity that might be in front of you. Let's explore the strategy. Let's put together a plan for you that's going to help you live into a fuller expression of who you are. And that was so freeing for me, and it was so powerful that once I experienced the power of coaching, I wanted to share it with the world. It not only took my direct selling business from a so-so business, but it took it into one that was flourishing. We actually built a multi-million-dollar organization in direct sales, and one of the key turning points for me was coaching. Another part was, and I believe it kind of goes along with coaching, was to learn the different behavior and personality styles. And that's a different Facebook Live. We'll do that one another time, okay? But with coaching, for me, it was so great because someone was really totally invested in me and my success. And so at that point, I decided, you know, I really wanted to be a coach. And I pursued and got my certification through the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches. I got it through the DSWA. And then I also got it through the John Maxwell team. So I'm certified on multiple platforms for coaching and life coaching, business coaching, success coaching, executive coaching. I do all kinds of things through my coaching practice. I also am really invested with helping executives as well as entrepreneurs and direct selling leaders be successful. So that's kind of like my background, and you kind of know a little bit about me. But let me tell you, like, what I think the most important thing is that you really need to know the truth about coaching, that you don't have to be an expert in an area in order to coach somebody to greater levels of success. Now, I've even coached doctors. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about the medical profession. I have coached presidents of large organizations and companies, and you know, I've been an entrepreneur. I've started my own businesses, and I've worked in family businesses for a long time. But I've never been a president of a large corporation. But I've been able to help them by not necessarily mentoring, I mentor in the areas that I'm an expert in, which a lot of that is around leadership and leadership development, through what I've learned with the John Maxwell team and working with them. But it's so much more than being able to just work in your area that you feel like you've mastered. It's the ability to ask really great, curious questions to help the participant be able to really dig deep into that other than conscious mind and pull out the best answers. Because I believe, honestly, that God puts inside of each one of us in our spiritual DNA. He puts inside of us what we're really supposed to be doing and being able to help us with that. The other thing I love and things about coaching is that it gives me the opportunity to help others succeed. When I first started with the John Maxwell team, I think it was about a year into it. My mom had just passed away. I was finishing up my Bible college, and I was able to work my business around putting together a more flexible schedule. Unfortunately, I was really pretty sick, and I've dealt with a lot of health issues. And part of the reason why I had to get off the first Facebook Live is because I've been having some issues today. So I was needing to talk to my doctor. But I was able to put together a business model where I could actually even work from bed for a while, where nobody really knew I was as sick as I was, but I was able to still serve because my mind was working, my voice was working, and I could help really serve to a greater capacity. So I will forever be grateful for this profession of coaching. Not only did it transform my life and transform my business, but it helps me do that for others, and it allows me flexibility to do things that maybe I may not have been able to do in a more traditional business setting. But let's talk about what it is to be able to help you, and you can maybe get a better understanding about what coaching truly is. It's really about supporting, it's acknowledging the person and the greatness inside of them, as well as the desires of their heart, and then helping them to get past any obstacles or limiting beliefs or belief barriers, and help empower them to move into the greatness that God put inside of them in their spiritual DNA, to be able to serve to a greater capacity, to be a better employee, all kinds of different things. The ICF, the International Coaching Federation, they put together a really great study, and I didn't think to pull those numbers before I got on the Facebook Live, but it actually, if I can remember correctly from memory, I think they said that productivity was increased by as much as like 80%. So that's like really huge. That people are just happier when they're working. So that's another really big thing. I coach people every day and they tell me how frustrated they are with their life or their business or their career, and they just want something different. And, if you want something different, why stay where you're at? Now, I know for some of us, it's a necessity that, we're the ones that are bringing in the income. Well, you can still shift and coach yourself into a better situation or more fulfillment or more happiness if you stay in your regular position or stay at your job, or if you make a transition into something else. I just, right before I got on with the Facebook Lives tonight, I just was working with another new member to the John Maxwell team. I help train and coach some of the new coaches there, and he was saying, he retired, but he feels like he's going to probably be busier with, I love all those thumbs up, by the way, thanks so much, and all the love, you guys are so sweet, but he was saying that he retired, and he's afraid he's going to be busier now that he's going to be a coach than ever. So we talked about putting together a plan and a success plan on really putting boundaries in place so that he can have the life and the business that he desires. So, it is possible. With coaching, I love it because I get to empower other people into their greatness and support them in moving forward in the direction they want to go. I don't have to come up with what that direction is. I don't have to put together the strategic plan, but I help people put together their strategic plans. I help them move their life and their business forward. I help them create strategies and plans and prioritize. And a big one right now, I don't know if it's just because we kind of went through the new year and everybody was kind of getting involved in their New Year's resolutions and getting their businesses on track and everything. But it seems like the last week I have had so many people tell me that they wanted coaching with time management. So we've been looking at their calendars and helping them with some time blocking. But then we also do a lot with strategy and priorities. And one of the things I love to do with that is mind mapping. I explained it in the first Facebook Live, so I'm going to give you a really quick synopsis because I see a lot of you guys weren't on that one and you're on this one, and I want to make sure you understand what it is. And I learned this from an expert in mind mapping, Heather Marquez. She's a friend of mine from Iowa. And what it is you take a central idea and you put it in the middle of your paper. So if it's like your goal, we'd put itemize, or we would get really specific with your goal, and then we would maybe put an offshoot, and this is called a branch, and we would put a branch that would say like maybe your timeline, and then maybe from your timeline we might put benchmarks or something that as far as different things to measure your success along that time of actually executing and finishing. Then we put another branch off, and that might be your first idea, that you need to do, your first step of action. And then we keep going, and you keep branching off. But this is how your mind works, okay, and how your brain works. But it helps us to be able to organize things. I also do speech coaching or speech coaching, and so I help with putting together speeches and fine tuning your speaking skills. I love to speak from a mind map. It was shocking for me, and maybe we should do a whole Facebook Live on mind mapping. But I learned to do this, and instead of outlining my speech, I actually do it with the mind map. So my title is in the center, and then each leg or branch that radiates off is a different speaking point. So it helps me keep on track. I actually started doing my agendas this way for a lot of my meetings, and it's so much easier for me to remember because that's how your brain works. Hey, Valerie, glad to see that you're with us. So let me tell you a little bit about the difference between training and coaching, because I think this is really important. A lot of people don't realize that there is a big difference. A lot of people will say that they're coaching, and Eric says he does the same thing. I know, isn't it great to be able to do that? Hi, Jessica, glad that you're with us. And Rebecca, you're so welcome. You guys are so welcome. So lost my train of thought. Oh, difference between training and coaching. They'll say, well, I'm going to coach my team. Well, really, they're doing a training, and that's completely different than coaching, because with training, that's about teaching. And with coaching, it's about supporting other people to learn. It's not about really providing the answers or, that teacher-student relationship. It's truly about helping other people find their answers and having a partnership and interactive relationship. It's not about focusing on the trainer's agenda and what you want to get accomplished, but it's truly about focusing on the other person's agenda. And I hear this over and over. I work with a lot of teams and team leaders, and they will say, they love coaching with me because they feel like they really get an unbiased, unjudgmental view by having me coach them. I don't have anything invested in, they're gaining anything except their success. They've hired me. I'm just here to help. And that is how I truly feel. It's like, hey, if you hire me, I want you to be really, really successful. So I don't care about your upline, your company. I don't care about any of the other things. I care about you truly being successful and you moving into the greatness that God put inside of you. Okay? When you're training, usually the trainer is the expert, but with the coach, the participant is the expert. How awesome is that? To know that someone's going to support you and encourage you and empower you to step into those ideas that God's placed inside of your brain that he's already resourced and equipped you with, but that coach is going to help you figure out the best way to step into that. That they're going to help you come up with your priorities and then provide some accountability. I love to be able to start each and every one of my sessions with celebration, right? To me, that's the best thing. Starting off with what went best. It kind of shifts the whole perspective. A lot of people start off their coaching and they'll get on the phone and they'll say, how are you? Or, what do you need help with today? And we come with all this negativity because, boy, it's sure easy for me, and I think for most everybody else, to come to that space where you're like, oh, I can find all the things that are wrong with me. I can tell you every dimple, dent, and destructive thing about myself. Oh, you're welcome, Ellie. And the thing is that's not what we want to focus on. We want to focus on what's positive, what went right, and then move from that space to where else would you like to have greater success. You've probably heard about strength finders, right? I teach strength finders as well as, personality and DISC and human behavior. But with strength finders, what I love about that is I love the fact that you can focus on someone's strength and have greater productivity. And instead of always trying to fix all the things that are wrong, trying to become somebody that we're not, staying in that place of strengths. That's one of the things that my mentor, John Maxwell, taught me a long time ago, was that you needed to stay in your strengths. Sure, it's not saying that you just forget about everything that you could maybe strengthen and get a little bit better at. And at times or in specific situations, it is important to work on ourselves. I'm always involved in personal development. However, we need to stay where God gifted us naturally and keep expanding that to a fuller expression. So the thing is with coaching, it's not always about, looking at what's not working. It's about helping find more things to work better for you, helping you get past some of those limiting beliefs or the belief barriers. And it's not about providing all the answers. That was one of the things as I built so many different teams that I was really always concerned about is I would kind of shy away from my team sometimes because I thought, well, what if I don't know the answer? Especially if they were strong, powerful women. Hey, Carol, glad to see you. I was afraid if they were strong that they might overpower me, and what if I didn't know the answers? So I would shy away from the true connectivity. Well, if I wasn't connected, we know that if you don't have true connection, you can talk all you want, and it's not going to make a difference because you don't have the influence. The only way to get influence, and we know that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, right, from John Maxwell. We know the only way to get the influence is to be truly connected to someone else, to truly, they know that they're valued and what matters most to them matters to us. And so if we don't have that connectivity, then we're really not leading. We're going to wind up being that man like that I've heard John Maxwell talk about so many times, where he goes and he believes he's leading and he's walking ahead, just a few steps ahead, and he turns back and he looks behind him and nobody's following him. He's really just going for a walk then. And we don't want to do that as leaders. God put something amazing inside of you, and I know that you want to step into that greatness. You want to lead other people. You want to bring them to the truth and the great message that you have inside of you so that we can make this world a better place and have more leaders leading leaders. And we can't shy away from that connectivity. So the thing that I love about coaching is I don't have to have the answers. All I have to do is be curious and ask the next most curious question in an open-ended format. That's the key to coaching, is having really good, powerful, strong questions that can, be answered only by the participant. And I could, of course, give you a bunch of ideas. That's what a trainer would do. That's what a mentor would do. And I could say, well, the first step to getting an appointment is this, 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 and this. Instantly, your brain's saying, oh, that won't work. Oh, tried that. Oh, that's not going to work for me. And what happens then, which is really, really sad, is they block everything else that we're going to say. They don't accept it in. They're not going to actually move forward and stepping into what they're being called to step into. And the thing is whether we realize it or not, we're going to be held accountable and responsible for that idea and what we did with it. Kind of reminds me about the story in the Bible about the talents. And, one of the guys buried it. One of the guys, they just saved it. And then the other guy, he multiplied it. And the guy that had everything multiplied, he actually was given the guy that buried it, he was given his talent. So I don't want you to bury your talent. I don't want you to bury your gifts and your skills or the message that God has actually put inside of you to take to the world. I want you to step into it. I want you to be doing it empowered, and a good coach can help you do that. Right? So isn't that exciting? To me, I think that's just really empowering and exciting. So you don't have to provide the answers. You just have to have really great questions. You don't have to have all the content. You just want to focus on the person, right? You don't have to have all the knowledge and have a big, huge education. And like I said, I've coached doctors. I've never been to med school, okay? But all I need to do is help them find their own experience, the assimilation of what God's put inside of them, of that idea, and bring it to fruition. And that comes through questions and holding that space, the space without judgment, right? I was so empowered the first time a coach held me whole and complete inside of their hands and said, you know what, I believe in you. And they held my belief when I couldn't even find my belief. I'm not kidding. It wasn't like it was the forest for the trees situation. I couldn't even find my belief. I didn't have much self-esteem. I didn't really believe that I could be as successful as what the coach saw that I had as potential. It's a place of positivity, a place where you can really, truly explore different options and ideas. You know, a lot of people ask me, as a coach, do you have a coach? Well, of course I do. Otherwise, I mean, how hypocritical would that be? But I have a coach because, and I actually have several coaches for different areas, because I know that I want to be better. I want to leave this world a better person. I want to leave it in a better place. I want to leave this life with leaving significance and a legacy that's going to move on and that's going to continue to make a difference for our world. I believe that's our responsibility that God put inside of us. And you know, when you're training, it's all about doing, right? When you're being coached, it's all about being. Now, I'm a D personality. I'm type A. I know, and a lot of you guys know me personally, and you're surprised. Just kidding. But I could be a human doing very, very easily. And I have to always remember that God created me to be a human being, not a human doing. So I've really purposed to develop the being of who I am. You know, when I do goal setting with people, I ask them, you know, what else would you like to do, be, have, or give to live into a fuller expression of who they were created to be, right? And for me, the being part, that's where the passion truly is. There's all kinds of things. Hi, Brenda, glad to see you. There's all kinds of things that I could be doing. There's all kinds of things that I could have, and I could make a huge list of all the things I'd love to have. I also could probably come up with an equally as big list of all the things I'd like to give. But who I want to be and what I'd like to give far outweighs anything that I would do or that I could have. And I think when we truly connect with that part of who we are, that's when we really make large impacts. You know, I was looking back through my Facebook feed this week, and it was a year ago this week that we went to Paraguay and with the John Maxwell team, and we worked on Transformative Transformative Paraguay, right? And it was just beyond my wildest imagination to be able to serve their government officials, the Ministry of Health we went into, and we served one of the largest pharmaceutical companies. I worked with young millennials and dance companies, and we were on television programs, and I worked in banking and financial institutions. We went into the 7 mountains of influence there, and we taught facilitation around leadership values and qualities. We basically were teaching them to facilitate roundtables and the first one that we started working on was attitude, because isn't that the truth, where we all have to start is with attitude. But I can remember in my heart, and we were able to use some of the coaching skills, some of those good question skills, as we were helping to transform this country. I mean, it has been just life-changing for me. I want to do the same thing in my own city and in my own county and my own community, and I want to do it with my clients. And the power behind this, I truly know, was that we were taking some of those coaching skills, asking those really great questions, and we were helping people connect with who they really wanted to be. What did they want to give back to their country? What did they want to give back to their teams and give back to their organizations? And that's what I love about coaching, is it helps us become a more rich, a more fulfilled person, right? You just can't, it doesn't get better than that, I don't think. So, you know, coaching really, I think a lot of people get the misunderstanding too, that coaching is like counseling. And for me, and if you're a counselor, please don't be offended. And I know that there's great places for that. And I've recommended some of my clients to go get counseling. that's looking at the past. I kind of feel like it would be like me getting on one of the highways here and trying to drive straight forward at 75 miles an hour at our speed limit here, looking in the rearview mirror, always looking at the past. With coaching, we take you where you are now, and we help you move as quickly as you can into your preferred future. We help you cruise down that highway. And with counseling, you're looking in the past to see if you can find what created that. Now, when I coach with some of my clients, we do talk a little bit about just history. I need to know what got you here. We don't focus on it. I don't try to fix that part, because you know what? The past is the past. Yesterday ended last night. There's nothing I can really do about that, but what we can do is put together a strategy and a plan for where you are today and help you to move forward in the future, right? So that's where I really try to focus on. It's not about fixing someone. It's not about finding the solutions. It's not about, taking you down a specific path or a specific curriculum. That's not really coaching. Okay, that's training. It's not really about increasing the empathy. Okay, it's not, none of those things. And it's definitely not codependency, right? It's not about consulting where I would be giving advice and advising. It's not therapy to heal, like looking in the rearview mirror again. It's truly about asking you what you truly desire and helping you get there. Get past those belief barriers that truly put us in a prison and help prevent us from getting to where we truly want to be. One of the things that I love about coaching as well is that most times people exceed their expectations in regards to responsibility and moving forward. My team, I was afraid to coach them at the beginning, because I thought, I would be responsible for their success or the lack thereof. And I thought, I don't want that kind of responsibility. And so I want you to know that when you're coaching with somebody else, they're not responsible for your success. Okay, your coach is not responsible for your success. You are. We have to take responsibility for every single thing we say and we do, right? It tells us in the Bible we're going to give an account for every word. So I can't take responsibility for you. And I wouldn't ever dream of accepting a trophy or an award for someone for something that I didn't do, right? People would think I was crazy if I tried to do that. But yet, when we have people on our team that aren't being successful, one of the things that we do, even when we're coaching them, is we take that responsibility on ourselves. Why would we do that? It doesn't make sense, right? It's just like we're not going to go on stage and take responsibility for them on the stage. We're not going to, and for the award they're receiving that we had nothing to do with, we shouldn't take the responsibility that, if they're not being successful. We do have responsibilities to team members, absolutely. And part of that does usually involve training and support and outlining things for them, helping them put together a strategic plan, having different, measurables in place and doing follow-up and things like that. But we aren't responsible, okay? We have responsibilities to our team, but it's not necessarily that we are, gonna, just because we decide to coach someone, that they're gonna be automatically responsible. Now, I do want you to know that I am credentialed. I have many certifications in coaching, and I'm not going to recommend that you just all of a sudden start coaching when you don't even know what it is. I do recommend that you work with someone that is credentialed, that does have that certification, that's spent many hours working with clients. I know last year alone, I spent over 1,100 hours coaching my clients alone, and that's only one aspect of my business. But work with somebody that is very skilled at it and really, truly cares about your success, that invests and puts themselves into that space where they only care about you and your success, okay? Because to me, that's the most important thing. I want to encourage you to make sure that your coach not only has your best interest in mind, but that they also don't try to put their beliefs onto you, right? Because you're going to have resistance then, and I don't want you to have resistance. I want you to have a coach that really works with you and wants to really support you. One of the best things that you can do is realize that only God and the person knows what's really best for them, right? And so I want you to, when you're working with your coach, really trust that gut instinct inside. That one where beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're supposed to be heading in that direction. And even if the whole world said, don't go in that direction, if you know that God told you to do it, that might be that you are the one person to make a completely different shift. Think about it. Nobody could run a 1 minute mile, right? And then, or the 4 minute mile, I'm sorry. 1 minute mile, that's pretty amazing. But then all of a sudden what somebody did, then the records were broken all the time. So God might have put something inside of you that you're supposed to do that nobody else has ever done before. Same thing with, your team members if you're coaching them. So I never recommend that you disregard any of that. Hi, Teresa. So glad to see you. I wish I was there on the beach with you. But realize that only God knows what's right for you. And you'll have that resonance inside of your spirit man where you'll truly know. God tells us that he will give us that peace that goes beyond understanding. Now, it doesn't mean that you might not have a little bit of uncertainty because you're not sure of the steps that you need to take in order to move forward with it, right? But it does mean that you will have that knowing that you are moving in the right direction. One of the other things that I think is so important, that's right, Eric, to be the record setter, that's right, is when you're coaching. And for those of you, because I see a lot of my friends that are coaches are on this video live, and so I'm excited about that. But I know all of you would agree with me that we have to let go of the outcome. We can't just decide that we're going to hang on to what we believe their outcome should be. That as the coach, it's up to them and God to outline it and then also to release the outcome. And I also release the steps and how they're going to get there. I love to explore with my clients, and we talk about all kinds of different possibilities, and then we come up with the 1 or 2 ways to move forward that seem to make the most sense and seem to be the ones that will help them be the most successful. So I hope that kind of helps. One of the other things that I think is super important if you are a coach is to make sure that you are present. Like, I recommend that you turn off your Facebook, your instant messaging, turn away from the computer if you need to. And I like to write handwritten notes. I know some people take notes and they use a silent keyboard and things like that. But as a coach, for me, I actually have forms that I use that help me to keep on track. But then also that helps me to keep the notes, and it helps me to remember. And then again, I'm mind mapping. So as they talk about different things, and as we uncork everyone's subconscious mind, a lot of times it sounds very random and kind of all over the place. And I just tell people, just go with it. Whatever's coming and bubbling up to the top, I say, now that we've uncorked your bottle, right, let it come out. And then I keep track with the mind map and with these forms. And that really, really helps because it helps me be present and to know that they're truly being listened to. And I listen to breathing and all kinds of different things as we're going through. But your coach is going to ask you really great questions, right? And so they should be open-ended. And one of the most important things a good coach does is they aren't going to ask you why, unless you're in a why discovery, when you're really trying to go deep with a person and really understand their motivators and their drivers. But it's to ask those open-ended questions that start with who, what, where, when, how, those kind of questions, and leave the why behind, because the why questions usually make people put their defenses up, right? And they don't really feel like they want to be as open with you. And you need to have an alliance where people are really open and willing to share, right? Don't use your time to train, but use it to support paradigm shifts, to help people reframe, maybe hold up a mirror so they can see what truth is, not their perception of truth, but what true truth is. And then also remember to ask the questions one at a time. And I'll be honest with you, that was really hard for me to do when I was first certified as a coach. Because my brain, it's kind of like popcorn goes off, all these ideas and all these questions going off. And all of a sudden, what I realized I was doing with my participant was that I was confusing them. I'd ask them one question, they'd start dipping into that other than conscious mind to pull out the answer. And then I'd ask the next question, and they'd be like, oh, wait, I got to go back in, grab another one. And then it was all disjointed, right? So one of the most important things that you can do if you are the participant is, take notes as well, write down some of the questions. If you need time to process and work through it, use that time. But then also, if you need to have your coach reframe your question, say, can you ask me that in a different way? Can you ask me one question at a time? That's going to help your alliance, and you'll get so much more out of it, right? So let's talk about what I think the essential components are for really great coaching relationships. I think number one, that you are in a really great relationship. That you truly trust them, that you know that you're being listened to, that there's a connection of the heart and the mind. So it's not just one, that you guys are just like on the same wavelength in the brain. But what I believe is that a good coach helps you to be connected in heart and mind to yourself, and then also to them as well. So I think that that's always really important. I think that another really successful component for, hey, Joy, glad to see you. Hi, Carrie, glad to see you. Is that you lay aside your own agenda, that you release the attachment to the outcome, that you keep a positivity and a possibility mindset. Now, for those of you that know me, you know right now, right, that I am all about, love those thumbs up, about having a possibility mindset. I am always asking not, can I, but how can I? And I will always ask you, what could you do? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? So the would and coulds, I spend all my time there instead of the shoulds, right? I don't try not to should on you, but I do ask you, what could this look like, or what would it look like? Okay, and that comes from holding that positivity and that possibility mindset. We have to also look at our vocabulary. Keep a transformational vocabulary, one that's always positive and focused on that possibility. I did a training earlier today with a company where I was helping them develop their emerging leaders, and I did an emerging leader program. And we were in a module talking about the difference between a needer and a leader. And one of the things that I always notice about someone that's very needy or always on that side of scarcity or negativity is they'll say blah, 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 but, and then they say something else. I'm just going to give you guys a clue right now. Everything you said prior to the but, you might as well not even have said. Because when you say but, it means disregard everything I already said, and this is what I really meant to say. So you're wasting your breath, and you're wasting precious moments for you and whoever's listening to you. So don't waste your breath. A leader, instead of saying blah, 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 but, they say yes and. Yes and. So again, it's positive and moving forward, right? I think another really important component, an essential component for coaching, is that you are always in the space of exploration and discovery. Realizing that I don't care what level you are, what you do for a living, I don't care what your title is. What I care about is, are we exploring, discovering, and always making a better version of ourselves? Making a better version of our team, making a better version of our company, right? And then this was a really hard thing, and I think this is really important as well in regards to essentials for coaching, is that you get really comfortable with silence. Now, for me, that was really hard as well, because I want to go in and rescue. I want to provide the solution for people. I don't want to have to wait. And I always feel like, oh gosh, I just want to rescue them. I want to put them out of their misery, right? And so I would go and jump in, and I would destroy the coaching space. Because what happens is when you go ahead and you grab them, right, and you help them, they can't dig into that deeper space to get that best answer pulled out for them, that best solution. So they'll settle for what you said, or they'll put up a block and just say, you don't understand my circumstances, right? So when you're comfortable with the silence, you give them the space to be able to get comfortable with grabbing into that and going into that place of the subconscious, the other than conscious mind, and coming up with their best answers. You teach them to think. They get comfortable then with learning to discover more. And hey, Gabby, glad to see you. And helping them move into a new level of conscious awareness, so that they can do this on their own. And what happens with a lot of people that I coach, they'll say, oh, Becky, I heard your voice. Well, they weren't really hearing my voice. They were learning to self-coach. And they were learning to help solve their own problems, because they learned how to tap into the other than conscious mind and bring that into their conscious awareness. And if you destroy the silence, you're going to prevent that from happening, right? And we don't want that to happen. We want to be able to help support them in being able to go into that other than conscious mind, bring that to that new conscious awareness so that they can solve and move into their best preferred future, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do that if we weren't okay with the silence. Now, I timed it one time at over 30 seconds, and I'll be honest with you, I thought those 30 seconds, it was at least 30 minutes or 30 hours. It was about enough to kill me. And maybe it's because I talk a lot. I don't know. But what I learned to do from one of my first coaches is she told me that if you need to be silent while you're coaching your team or you're working with coaching, is that you pinch your leg. If you want to talk, pinch your leg. Well, I'm telling you right now, I was bruised. Like my whole leg was bruised because I always wanted to say something. So what I've learned to do instead is I take my tongue. I want you guys to practice this with me right now, okay, if you will. Is take your tongue and press it to the roof of your mouth. You can't talk, right? So that's what I do when I'm listening or I've asked my one question is I stop. And then I listen, and I, even though that sometimes that silence seems like forever, it's usually about 10 or 15 seconds. 15 seconds seems like a really long time. But give them the space. Give them the space where all of a sudden they can they can kind of explore in their own mind. They can pull out from their subconscious mind a new idea, something that could work or might work. And then they have the ability to spend just a second or two with identifying, like with their spirit man, does that really work for me? Could that be a possibility? And then provide that space where you're holding them whole and complete, holding their belief until they can have it themselves, and let them explore it. Maybe mirror it back. Say, this is what I think I'm hearing you say. And you will be shocked at how empowered the participant is going to feel. Don't we want everyone to feel more empowered? We don't want to be micromanaging anybody or be micromanaged, right? I want to empower other people to live into the greatness that God's put inside of them and help them explore and to live into greater things that they've only dreamt of or imagined. You know, I love people that love to take action. And sometimes we can't take action because we don't allow ourselves that silence, that thinking time. We don't have somebody there to hold us in that place of wholeness and completeness that lets us explore those ideas and then put a plan together, a way to move forward, and then a place where you can come back and say, you know what, this is what worked well, this didn't really work so well. And like John Maxwell tells us is, you know, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And the sometimes you learn part is, you know, what did I learn? I'm going to look back and I'm going to see, you know, it wasn't the practice that made it perfect. It was taking and perfecting the practice. And so going back and looking at what needed to be course corrected and then moving forward, right? To have another great component that I believe is essential in coaching is also that not only are you having the, you know, comfort with silence and having those really powerful open-ended questions, but that you have that exploration, that you create that space for exploration and support. You know, there's been times in my life where my coach was pretty much the only person that did support me. That only they believed that what I said and what I could see in my mind's eye could really happen. And a coach will help support you with where you truly desire to be. And one of the most powerful things that I think is an essential to coaching is to have the acknowledgement of character, the true essence of who we are. Don't we all truly want that? Where we want to know that our life matters, right, John Griffin? I see that you're with us. But each person matters. And not only do we matter as a person, it's what we bring to this world, acknowledging that character, not just, a compliment like, oh, cute shirt or great haircut or, I like your lipstick or whatever. Going deeper, not even just acknowledging like, oh, that was really great that you, had this great accomplishment and recognizing them for the accomplishment. Instead, go deeper and acknowledge what helped them about their character helped them to accomplish that task. What about them it would make our world so much less if they weren't in it. Maybe it's because you've got this, this might be an example that you could tell your person that you're working with as a coach is, you could say, you know what, I could see that your perseverance and tenacity were key components in order to help you to break that record, to accomplish and get to this number one space. I so admire you for that. That's so much better than just saying, congratulations on making it to number one. Doesn't feel that way. Again, it goes back to that heart connection, right? And that's what a good coach is going to do. They're going to provide that heart to head between you and them relationship. Now, I know I've been on for a little while, so I'm not going to stay on a whole lot longer because I don't want you guys to get bored. I appreciate those of you that have stayed on. I'm so excited that you are finding value in what you're hearing today about the truth about coaching. But for me, most of the times, my coaching sessions are usually around like putting together a goal and a plan, a commitment and taking action, and then having some type of exploration and then accountability. And then the next session, we come back and we also talk about, feedback and different insight that we learned and things like that. So as you are working with your coach or trying to discover, what kind of coach do I want to work with? Or maybe you are a coach or want to be a coach. If you want to be a coach, private message me. I'd love to be able to share with you a little bit more about what the John Maxwell team has to offer. It's an incredible coaching certification. Absolutely changed my life. And I've been a part of this team for an amazing 6 years. The entire time that the team's been in place, I absolutely love what it's done for my life and for my business. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you're looking for a coach, I'm starting something really cool. Let's see, I think it starts on Thursday. So you can go over to my website, beckyspieth.com, SPIETH.com, and I'm putting together coaching cohorts. So they're groups of coaching, that you can come to. And it's kind of group coaching. So you're going to learn coaching from hearing me coach other people. You're going to be able to listen to other people get coached. And you're also going to be able to get coached on a specific topic or something each week. And we've got a great Facebook group to go with that. Super duper affordable. I don't know, I think it's like $97. So, if you want to check out coaching, I'll be honest with you, that's like way less than what I charge for one session. So it might be a way to check it out, right? Rebecca's like, hell yeah, Becky's coached me many different times. That's right, I have. I love it, Rebecca. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that you're having the success in your business that you desire and you deserve. I saw that you were doing some amazing things, so that's fabulous. And a lot of the people that I've coached have gone to the very top of their companies in direct sales. I know that there was a corporation here in the city that I started coaching their women in leadership. And what I found was that there was a kind of a glass ceiling there, and they couldn't break through. And after we did some coaching with several of them, and we did it in a group setting, so others could listen and receive value from it as well, what they did is all of a sudden they started promoting up and out. So pretty exciting because we broke through those belief barriers. We, coached them to the development of new skills. So if you're interested, anyways, just want to let you know, just private message me. Again, I think the cohort starts on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Or I do have a couple of spaces for private clients if you're interested. And if you are a coach, I want to just really encourage you to make sure, everybody else out there really understands what coaching truly is. I hope I've given you guys a better picture of what my coaching looks like and what I do as a coach. I also make sure that my participants fill out a form, a prep form, and I want them to do it at least the night before. Because what happens, again, we're pulling up all that stuff out of the other than conscious mind, right? We're trying to uncork that bottle, let all the bubbly good stuff come out, is that it does exactly that. I strategically have placed questions on this prep form so that it helps them to discover and kind of self-coach even overnight while they're sleeping, because that part of our brain doesn't ever go to sleep, thank goodness. Otherwise we'd die because we'd stop breathing and our heart would stop beating and all that kind of stuff, right? But it helps pull that up and out. And many times, even though I put on there, one of the questions is, what do you want to talk about today? Or what's our main topic for today? Many times they will have self-coached in the shower or getting ready in the day, that by the time they get to their appointment time, they don't even need to talk about that. It's already been worked through, but they've got the next thing. So it really helps to advance their coaching and accelerate it. but it also helps with the preparation, right? So a lot of times they think like it's so I can pull up like questions to ask them, or I can come up with ideas or training around it. And that's just not the case. It's really for the participant. And then always make sure that you take and keep really awesome, amazing notes, because you're going to think you're going to remember it all. But this woman who just turned 50 over the weekend can't remember it all. So I keep really great notes and make sure that my participants do that as well. You know, there's a quote by Marianne Williamson that I absolutely love. I kind of use it to close out a lot of things that I do. But I want you to really realize something, and I don't know of anybody that's ever said it any better. So I'm going to share this quote with you, and I hope that you guys find some value in it. She says that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're just powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us and scares us. So we ask ourselves many times, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. And your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking back and pulling away so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, just like children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God. It's in each one of us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do exactly the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates other people. So let me ask you, where have you been playing small? Where could you live into a fuller expression to let your light shine where God wants you to live, so that you can make a bigger difference in this world? Are you stuck? Stuck stinks, I know. But it can usually be placed in our lives to help us get to that next level and move forward. And I want to know that if you guys are kind of like the same, like I am, where you're thinking, oh, hi, Mitch, I love you too. I miss you too. So glad to see you. I want you to really ask you something, though. Are you like I am, where when you really did discover that there was more greatness inside of you, where there was more light to come out of you and you started sharing it, that once you discovered it, you wanted everybody to be able to have that same freedom, that you wanted them to be able to do the same thing, that you wanted them, whether it was to be at the top of their company or just to silently be behind the scenes and help somebody else move into a greater and fuller expression of their capacity, to live more intentionally, to leave that significant legacy, whatever the component is in their life or their business. Are you like me, where you wanted to help everybody else do the same thing? If you are, let me know. I'd love to see that. I'd love to hear that, because I truly do believe what it says in the Marianne Williamson quote, that once we let our light shine, we unconsciously, even just our presence, help other people to do the same thing. We kind of give them that permission. And I know that if you've taken the time to be with me here, that you have that inside of you. I would love to help you be able to untap that, uncork that, get that subconscious mind, functioning and bringing it into your conscious awareness. Because I want you to move into your greatness. I want you to move into what God wants to do in and through you. One of my favorite verses in the Bible, and I'm not going to go off on a preach on you, but I have to share this because it literally just energizes me. That it tells me in Ephesians 3:20 that God wants to work in and through me to do super abundantly more than he could ever ask, think, dream, or imagine. Like, God says that he wants to work in and through me. So he wants to do the same thing for you. He wants to work in and through you to do super abundantly. That's like one of my favorite words. More than you could ever ask, think, dream, or imagine. And I'm a huge dreamer. I've got great thoughts. Like I said, I've got the popcorn that always goes off of those thoughts and those ideas. I want you to know that God wants to do the same thing for you, and he wants you to do so much more than you could have ever imagined. He's already resourced and equipped you to do it. If you get the thought, he's already resourced and equipped you to do it, because that's where everything is first created, is in the thought, right? God gives us a thought, and then we create it with our words, like the spoken word, like God created the world. But we've got to get it out of your heart. We've got to get it up out of your subconscious or other than conscious mind and bring it into the conscious awareness so that you can start moving into it. God tells me that He has plans for each one of us. And it's to give us a hope and an amazing future, because He tells us He doesn't want to bring any harm into our life. So He wants to work in and through you. And I want you to do the same thing. So I hope that you've been empowered. I hope that this has been something that's been enlightening for you. Maybe you didn't know some of these things about coaching before. I want to leave you with just a couple more tips around coaching that I learned when I was first coaching, and I'm so thankful that I did. You, number one, want to always ask permission to coach. Don't just start coaching your husband or your teammate or your kids. Ask permission. And make sure that you've got them to fill out the coaching call prep form the night before, right? Because that always helps. Start each call off with celebration. It sets the tone and the mood for your coaching experience. Coach according to their DISC behavioral style. And I think that maybe I'll do another Facebook Live on that someday soon. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I always take notes. I always have my coaching records. You can, put them in a binder. You can keep them online, whatever, right? You can keep a file on your desktop, Dropbox, whatever. But make sure that you're as committed to the success of your participant as they are. And chances are you probably in the beginning will be more until you get that passion ignited inside of them. And I don't know of a better way for people to be successful or to help facilitate success in other people than through coaching. So thanks so much for spending time with me. If you like this, let me know. And if you guys have other topics that you'd love to have me do a Facebook Live on, I'd love to be able to do that. Thanks so much for being with me. Take care and God bless you, and know that I love and I care about you. And if you're interested in any coaching opportunities or becoming a coach, let me know. I will talk to you guys later. God bless you. Bye now.